Hey folks, welcome to week 6. We are moving from the leadership theory timeline into the skills section. So these last 2 weeks of the semester will focus particularly on leadership skills, and like you see in the book, I've kind of pulled those together from different chapters. I'm also going to depart a little bit today, as this is more of a supplemental type lecture to go along, lesson to go along with the book. And so I'm actually going to borrow. I really like the way that Cameron and Whetten have presented the concepts of stress management in their developing management skills book. So this one I use with outdoor leadership class. So real quick, just kind of a supplemental way. Today we're going to look at stress, and I'll post several of these this week rather than trying to do them all at once. I'll just kind of break them up and have smaller talks for you. So here we go. This is Dave Cameron and Kim Whetten and their presentation. So stress. I used to had a karate instructor, like you figured out in an earlier video. We've got a little martial arts school, and I've been doing karate for a long time. And I remember one time students were complaining about how sore they were in class from stretching and just muscles sore, and maybe from sparring and kind of getting beat up a little bit. And the instructor, I think, in an attempt to kind of make us feel better and have us quit whining, said, the nice thing about that pain that you're feeling, it helps you know you're alive. And so we can rejoice in being alive. I think stress is kind of the same way. Stress is one of those things that we're always going to experience. It's pushing on us. It can be good in that it can get us up and motivated, but a lot of times it's a distraction, and it causes worry. And so we need to learn how to deal with it. So stress, I don't have it in this slide, but if you think about stress, for something to be stressful, there need to be two ingredients. It needs to be uncertain, and it needs to be important. So if something is uncertain but not important, it's not going to stress you out. If it's important but it's also very certain, it's not going to stress you out. It's the combination of those two things. So something's uncertain and it's important. Different people can have different reactions. So two people sitting right next to each other can perceive a situation differently. One might perceive it as stressful, and one might perceive it as not being stressful. When I watch what I regard as important football games on television, and I'm wound up and stressed out, and my wife, who really doesn't care about it, she's not stressed out at all. And actually, I think she's more stressed out by having to deal with me in the same room. So here's the model that we're going to go through. We're going to identify 4 different types of stressors, and then we're going to talk about the reactions that people have to stress. And then we're going to talk about elimination strategy, resiliency strategy, and then coping or reaction strategies. All right, so let's define these real quick. First we're going to talk about I guess we're going to jump on do the other side first. So the reactions to stress, we can have physiological reactions, we can get sick, we can have heart problems, high blood pressure, even stroke and illness. It can also make us susceptible to getting sick and through a viral infection. Psychological, you can have burnout, and you're just worn out and tired and just don't have a lot of energy. That can all be the consequence or result of being in a stressful situation. Coping with stress. So here are the ones that we're going to talk about. Inactive strategies. These are ones to eliminate. Proactive strategies are going to be the ones to increase our body's ability to deal with stress. And then the reactive strategies are going to be the ones that we can implement when we're in a stressful situation. We couldn't eliminate it. We've done our best to strengthen our body to deal with it, but we just have to deal with it in the situation. All right, so those reactive strategies. Okay, so here they are. Inactive is to eliminate. Proactive is to develop resiliency, or your body's ability to bounce back. And then reactive are these coping in the short term that are very reactive. So this is kind of the model that the chapter uses. It's chapter 2 in the Cameron and Whetten book. Okay, here we are, types of stress. Time stressors, too much to do in too little time. And that can create stress. Am I going to get it all done? There's the uncertainty. And this is very important. That's where the stress comes from. So we know of this. There's actually been research that shows that having too little to do can also be stressful. And I had an old job like that, where it was awful going to work just because there wasn't enough to do. But for the most part, time stressors, you've got too much to do, and maybe that there's a lack of control and that I can't get everything organized and put together the way I need to in order to get this done. And counter stress, this is interpersonal stress. So it's one person is stressed out being around another person, and that can come about from role conflicts, and that I think this is what the job entails, you think it entails something else, and there's ambiguity. Maybe there's role conflict that comes about with it. Issue conflicts, we have different thoughts and beliefs and attitudes about certain issues, and so being around those people and knowing that that might come up is going to be stressful. And then action, so the doing component as well. So time stress, too much to do, too little time, and counter stress is interpersonal stress. Two more. Situational stress. This is the old Calgon take me away commercial. Everything's happening at once. And because it's all happening at once, it's just too much going on. There's maybe too much change. The working conditions are unfavorable. I can't concentrate. I can't get work done because all of these things are going on at the same time. So situational stress. And then anticipatory stress, which we have probably all experienced. This is stress and worry and fear that comes about from these things that are going to happen in the future that we don't feel like we're 100% prepared for. All right, so those are the four different types of stress defined in this book that I'm referring to. And then, so what they do with that inactive strategy, what can we do to reduce the amount of stress pushing on us? Well, the best thing, it's the big thing, it's the long-term thing, would be to eliminate it. So this is the way to get rid of those things that are pushing on you. So with time stress, you can talk about time management. And actually in this presentation, I just deleted about 8 slides that had to do with time management, effective time management, and efficient. Okay, so this one, there's too much to do and too little time. Budget, plan, organize your schedule, figure out which things are important and which things are maybe not as important. Get those important things done first, and then maybe save the less important things till after. Don't procrastinate. Just a lot of different strategies, and I think those will be mentioned in our book. And they're also ones that you'll be able to go find other references for. And then delegating. So when you delegate to someone, you then give someone else the ability to make the decisions on how things are to be done. So going back to Hersey and Blanchard, when do we delegate? When people are willing and able, that highest level of readiness. So if I have too much on my plate, I can delegate as opposed to dumping. Dumping is just dumping work on people and giving them orders on how to do it. Then you're going to have to follow up with them. But to delegate, let someone else be responsible for that and let them figure it out themselves. That's going to help relieve some of this time stress, the things that are on you. And counter stress, okay, collaboration and team building. So this is that interpersonal, emotional intelligence and understanding your emotions and how to react to those, and then being able to read the emotions of other people are very important. So collaboration, working together, win-win strategies are what we tend to think of when we think of collaborate. And again, team building, pulling us all together, realizing that we're all on the same team together and dependent on each other, just like the leadership is as teamwork. Situational stress, the workplace is stressing me out. All of this stuff going on at the same place. Redesign the workplace. And then anticipatory stress, set goals, plan, rehearse, prepare. Also, and small wins that talk about instead of seeing the big major task in front of you, break it into smaller pieces so that you can see yourself achieving as you're going through this. If you think about going on a long road trip, instead of looking at the end goal, oh my goodness, look at all this distance I have in front of me, break it into the smaller pieces that you can identify. Okay, my first objective is, this town 50 miles down the road. Okay, we met it. Then another one, then another one, then another one. So you can see yourself accomplishing and achieving those things. So these are the elimination. This is to get rid of the stress, not just deal with it, but to actually change kind of how you work, change the environment, change the task, and just kind of change your attitude and the ways that you plan and prepare. Okay, elimination strategy, long-term, permanent. Okay, here's resiliency. And resiliency is increasing your body's ability to bounce back. So if something is resilient, Okay, it's able to bend. And so with stress, as stress is pushing on you, it's your ability to deal with it and to bend, and then when it's removed, to come back to a normal position. All right, so resiliency increases the capacity to withstand these negative effects of stress. Again, those physiological and psychological consequences or outcomes of stress. And these are for the ones that will not go away, can't eliminate these. All right, let's look at these. So one of these things they talked about with resiliency is to make sure that your life is balanced. I think the times when I've gotten out of balance, where one thing becomes too much, maybe work is too much, I realize I need to back off and I need to enjoy these other things as well. Um, there are times, I remember when I was in grad school and working on the dissertation and how stressful that could be. I would go play racquetball, and racquetball was not only a physical thing, but it was also a social thing. My buddies were there. And so those 2 hours during the afternoons, late afternoons when I would go play, there was just, my brain was occupied. I wasn't thinking about this other stuff. And it was just good for my soul to get away from that which was pressing on me the hardest and go experience other things. Make sure that you have time for these other things. And don't let one of those pieces of this pie become the dominant piece and everything else tries to fit in. But try to keep things balanced. That's what counselors and this theory would suggest. Okay, so here's resiliency. And these are the three forms right here: physical resiliency, psychological resiliency, and social resiliency. So with physical resiliency, it has to do with keeping your body strong. Okay, exercising, that cardiovascular health, get out there and walk, ride your bike, do things. Also lift weights and keep your body strong and the ability to bounce back. Also good diet, also get enough sleep, getting enough rest. All right, that's all the physical ways to be able to fight off the effects of stress pushing on you all the time. Psychological, this is in your head. So it's the emotions, it's self-esteem, it's hardiness. Hardiness is, I've gotten through things like this before, I'm going to get through this again. Self-esteem, I feel good about myself. Okay, and I can do this. I'm a conqueror, I'm an achiever. Yes, this is weighing on me now, but you know what? I've conquered all those other things that have weighed on me in the past, and I'll get through this as well. And then this social resiliency, that's the benefit that comes about from being a part of a group and having a supportive group of people who kind of understand and support and encourage and are there to bounce ideas off of and to provide just continued social support as you go through this. So being a part of a group, having support of others, even a mentor, yeah, they're mentors right there. The team, the others who are in there with you, use each other. Let you all know that you're there to help each other. And then the psychological is this in your head. You know, you can conquer, you're hardy, you can overcome. And then physical, make sure that your body is there to back you up while you're doing it. So that's resiliency. And resiliency is going to apply to all four types of stressors. The elimination strategies go along with each particular type of stress. You have time management for time stress. You have planning and preparation for anticipatory. But these, if you are strong on all three of these resiliency factors, those are going to help your ability to deal with all four of the stressors. All right. Cardiovascular, I don't think this will probably be a surprise, but it's a good reminder for all of us. So by exercising, it helps with blood pressure, helps with your heart, helps with the makeup of your blood, the cholesterol. It gives you energy. And I can tell you that for a fact. There are times where I've gone to teach my karate class and I don't feel good going over there. But as soon as I get there and start talking to everybody and we stretch and start jumping around and doing our classes, by the time I leave, I've come back to life. And that happens more often than not. And it goes right back to these ideas right here. If I had skipped class and stayed home and continued to work on that thing that is stressing me out, I probably would have felt worse. But if I can go disappear for a little bit, get some exercise, go ride my bike, think about things, get my body moving, I'm going to feel bad. And I think you all can probably relate to that as well. Diet, and I'll admit that this is not one of the things that is my strength is diet, but again, the stuff that goes in is going to help your body strengthen and the fuel that you need. Here, I can give you an example. When we do our bike rides, kind of unlike an automobile, think about automobiles. As long as it's got a little bit of gas in there, it's going to run just like it's got a full tank of gas. But our bodies are not that way. When we're riding bikes day after day after day, you have to keep your tank pretty full. You can't let your body almost deplete itself on energy and then just eat and drink again and get you right back. It's going to mess you up. So when we ride bikes, every time we take a little break, I encourage the students and myself to go get some food in me, whether that be trail mix, a banana, a Cliff Bar, something like that. You got to keep yourself topped off so that you always have energy and can't deplete yourself. Those same concepts apply right here. And you need to make sure when we're taking breaks on cycling that we are putting good stuff into us and not eating donuts every time. Every time. All right. So diet. Hardiness. This is the idea in your head that you can conquer. So you take control. I am going to take control. I'm going to be committed to this. I'm going to feel it as a challenge. I'm not going to be paralyzed, but I'm going to power through this and I can do it. That's hardiness. All right, here, I left this one in here. I was thinking about taking it out, but I left it in. Hopefully, most of all have been exposed to the ideas of type A and type B personalities. Type A are these people right here. This is just kind of the way we are wired. And we need to be aware that this is kind of how we react to the world. We have to eat fast, walk fast. We're always in a rush. It's always a competition. Well, it really isn't. And a lot of us have to keep reminding ourselves of that we don't have to get so stressed out that, again, uncertain and important. Am I going to be the first one? Am I going to have to wait in line? Am I going to have to do all this? We can change our thinking and not be stressed out. When you're waiting in a long line, okay, you don't have to get irritated at kind of how slow everything's moving, but you can take time to relax and just enjoy being there and maybe not have stuff pressing on you and that has to be done. So we type A people need to be aware of this and maybe become more type B. Type B. Here's the social resiliency. So how do you increase that? Friendships, family relations, mentors, very important. And then within your work teams. So involve others in coming up with what these challenges and goals are. Share, focus on the team rather than the individual. Work together as a team and realize that you can accomplish more as a team and that you all need to depend on each other and help each other get to these goals that all of you are working on. And then lastly, each of these actually had a link, but I took them off. I'm just going to go through them a little faster. I think you can probably see them. Those ideas of muscle relaxation, you tighten up and then you relax. Deep breathing, the in through the nose, out through the mouth. Slow your heart rate down. Okay. This visualization, imagery, and fantasy. A lot of times when I'm in long car rides, I kind of picture myself at the end of the day, I'll be back in my bed. Okay. So yes, this seems impossible right now with all this mileage I have ahead of me. But when I go to bed tonight, I'm actually going to be back in my room. And I can kind of picture that. And that helps me to calm down a little bit. And then when I'm actually at home, back in my bed, I can recall back, hey, I was really stressed out and frustrated in that situation, but it did pass. And here I am. I've gotten through it. Rehearsal. So those of us who are musicians, those of us who get stressed out about playing in front of other people, we know we like to rehearse. Maybe public speaking, maybe that's not your thing right now, but you can practice, you can rehearse, you can run through the ideas and in your head and figure out your opening and your closing and maybe how it's going to work. Rehearsal helps alleviate some of that stress. And then reframing. Reframing is taking this and then changing kind of how you view it. Instead of seeing it this way, I'm going to reframe it and see it as a challenge. Instead of this horrible thing that's coming, I'm going to see it as maybe a challenge or something that I have to get over that is similar to what I've done before. So with that, again, I love this presentation. It's a different presentation from what we have in our book, but hopefully it'll be helpful and a nice little supplement to the book as well. So that's it. That's the stress part from this first chapter that we're looking at this week. That's it. Thanks.